Welcome to another deep dive with us. This time, we're going to be looking at AI and how it's changing the game for data engineers.
Sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We're basing this deep dive on an article by Chris Garzon. He's a data engineer, been in the trenches at companies like Amazon and Lyft. So,
Oh, wow. Yeah,
yeah, he's got some serious street cred
definitely.
in this space. So he's compiled this list of AI tools that are starting to make some serious waves in the data engineering world. And we thought it would be fun to kind of go through and talk about some of these things.
Yeah. And kind of what stood out to me was it wasn't all just like the flashy, AI is changing everything.
Right.
It was a lot of how AI is changing the everyday reality of being a data engineer.
Yeah. And he starts right off the bat talking about this AI-powered code assistance.
Okay.
Which, is pretty interesting because it seems like almost every week
Yeah.
there's some new tool coming out that's going to, change the way we write code forever.
Right.
And so, I'm always a little bit skeptical when I see these things.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like, is this really something new, or is it just,
Hype. Yeah.
But he talks about three tools in particular that I thought were pretty interesting. Deep Code AI, GitHub Copilot, and Tab9.
So those are some of the big names I've been hearing.
Yeah, these are kind of the big players in this space right now.
Okay.
And so let's maybe just kind of go through each one of these and talk about what they do and what makes them special.
I think deep code is really interesting just because it's going a step beyond just the basic syntax checking. It actually analyzes your code and it can look for bugs and security vulnerabilities.
Oh, wow.
And it can also suggest ways to improve performance.
That's amazing.
It's like having a superpowered linter that actually understands the intent of your code,
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like having a senior engineer looking over your shoulder and
exactly
and giving you feedback
constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And then there's GitHub Copilot, which goes even further than that.
Right.
It can actually generate code snippets and even entire functions.
Really?
Yeah.
Like based on your comments or something?
Based on your comment, based on the surrounding code, it can kind of look at everything and kind of guess what you're trying to do and then just fill it in for you.
So instead of just telling you what's wrong, it's actually
it's helping you write the code. Yeah.
That's both impressive and a little bit unsettling.
Right.
Are we all going to be out of jobs soon?
I know.
I mean, it's what's the point of even learning how to code anymore if these tools are just going to write it for us, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? Is this...
I don't think it's going to replace developers entirely, but it's definitely going to change the way we work. I think it's more about augmenting our skills, not replacing them. It's it's automating the more tedious parts of coding so we can focus on the
more creative parts.
Yeah, the higher level design and the problem solving.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of it's taking care of all the grunt work.
Yeah.
And letting us focus on the fun stuff. The big picture stuff.
Exactly.
Okay. I can get on board with that.
Right.
And then what about Tab9? You mentioned Tab9. What's that one all about?
Tab9 is more focused on code completion. Yeah. It's it uses AI to predict what you're going to type next.
Oh, okay.
Based on your coding style and the context of your code.
So it's a really smart autocomplete.
Yeah, like a supercharged autocomplete.
That understands the nuances of different programming languages and
exactly
and frameworks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's it's not just about saving keystrokes. It's about helping you write more consistent and idiomatic code.
So it's actually helping you learn as you're coding.
Yeah, especially if you're learning a new language or a new framework, it can be really helpful because it can kind of guide you towards the best practices and the common patterns.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got these three tools that are really kind of changing the way we write code. But what about the bigger picture? How is AI impacting the frameworks and the tools that we use to build and deploy machine learning models?
Well, Garzon highlights two big players in this space, Apache MXNet and TensorFlow.
Okay.
These are both open source deep learning frameworks. They're used for building and training all sorts of different machine learning models.
Okay, but what are the key differences? If I'm a data engineer, how do I choose which one to use?
Right. MXNet is known for its flexibility. It can support multiple different programming languages like Python, R, and Julia. So if you're working on a project that involves different teams using different languages, MXNet could be a good option.
Okay, so it's kind of like the Switzerland of deep learning frameworks.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's neutral.
Neutral.
It plays well with everyone.
Everyone, exactly.
Okay.
And then TensorFlow, which was developed by Google, is known for its robust ecosystem and its scalability.
Okay.
It's got a really large and active community, and it's been optimized to run efficiently on all sorts of different hardware.
So if you're working with like massive data sets or really complex models, TensorFlow might be the better choice.
Yeah, exactly. It's usually the go-to framework for those really high-performance, high-scalability projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got MXNet, which is like the flexible multilingual one.
Right.
And then we've got TensorFlow, which is like the powerhouse.
The powerhouse, yeah.
The one that can handle anything you throw at it.
Right, right.
Okay. This is all pretty exciting stuff, but it sounds like we're just scratching the surface here. Like, where do we go from here?
Well, he also talks about how AI is transforming like the entire data pipeline
Okay.
from data ingestion and preparation to model deployment and monitoring.
Wow. So it's not just about like writing code or building models.
Yeah.
It's like the whole
enchilada.
the whole enchilada.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And there's a bunch of tools that are really making waves in this space. Things like TensorFlow Extended, which is called TFX. There's Kubeflow, Paxata, Dataiku, and Fivetran.
All right. Well, let's unpack that. We got a lot to talk about there. First up, what is TensorFlow Extended? What is TFX?
Okay. So TFX, it's basically like a collection of components that you can use to build and manage these machine learning pipelines.
Okay.
And the really cool thing is that it incorporates AI at various different stages to make the whole process more efficient and reliable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like it's using AI to manage the AI.
Exactly.
That's pretty meta.
It is, right. It's AI all the way down.
So we're talking about managing this whole data pipeline, and it sounds like a pretty complex task.
Yeah.
How is AI being used to tackle this challenge?
Well, TFX is a great example. It's using AI in a bunch of different ways to make the whole process more efficient and reliable. One key area is data validation.
Okay.
So TFX uses AI to analyze your incoming data and identify potential anomalies or inconsistencies that could affect the quality of your models.
So it's like having a built-in quality control system for your data.
Exactly. You catch those data problems early on before they can corrupt your whole pipeline. And then there's Kubeflow, which tackles the challenge of deploying and managing these machine learning models at scale.
We hear a lot about Kubernetes these days. How does Kubeflow leverage that technology for machine learning?
So Kubeflow is actually built on top of Kubernetes, which is this open source platform for automating the deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications.
So it's using containers to package and deploy these machine learning models.
Exactly. And that makes it so much easier to deploy these models to different environments, whether it's on-premise in the cloud or even at the edge.
That's a game changer for organizations that are trying to operationalize machine learning at scale. It sounds like Kubeflow is becoming kind of an essential tool for anyone working in MLOps.
Absolutely. And then you've got tools like Paxata and Dataiku, which focus more on data preparation and workflow automation.
Yeah, data preparation always seems to be the bottleneck in most data science projects. How are these tools using AI to streamline that process?
So Paxata uses machine learning to automate tasks like data cleaning, transformation, and enrichment. It can actually learn from your past actions and suggest ways to improve your data preparation workflows, which can save you a ton of time and effort.
So instead of manually cleaning and transforming data, you can let the AI do the heavy lifting.
Exactly. And Dataiku takes this a step further. It provides a collaborative platform for building and deploying entire data science projects, from data exploration and preparation to model building and deployment. It integrates with a bunch of different tools and technologies, and it uses AI to guide users through the process and automate a lot of those repetitive tasks.
It sounds like Dataiku is trying to be the one-stop shop for all things data science. What about Fivetran? How does that fit into this AI-powered data engineering landscape?
Fivetran focuses on data integration. They specialize in connecting to all these different data sources, from databases and SaaS applications to APIs and file storage systems.
Okay.
And they use AI to optimize that data extraction and loading process, making sure that you have a reliable and efficient pipeline for getting data into your data warehouse or lake.
So it's taking the pain out of connecting to all those different data sources.
Exactly. And the AI-powered features make sure that the data is delivered accurately and on time, which is essential for any organization that's relying on data for decision-making.
It sounds like all of these tools are kind of pushing data engineering in a more automated and intelligent direction. Where do you see this trend heading in the future?
Well, I think we're going to see even more sophisticated applications of AI in data engineering. One area that's particularly interesting is real-time data processing.
Okay.
Imagine these AI systems that can analyze streaming data from sensors, social media, feeds financial markets with incredible speed and accuracy.
That sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. What are some real-world applications of this technology?
I mean, the possibilities are endless. In healthcare, you could use real-time data processing to monitor patients' vital signs and alert doctors to potential problems before they become critical. In finance, you could use it to detect fraudulent transactions as they happen. And in transportation, you could use it to optimize traffic flow and prevent accidents.
Those are some pretty compelling examples. It sounds like real-time data processing has the potential to revolutionize a lot of industries.
Absolutely. And AI is going to be the key enabler of this revolution.
We've talked a lot about the tools and the technologies, but what about the people? How do you see the role of the data engineer evolving in this increasingly AI-driven world?
That's a great question. I think as AI takes over more of those routine tasks, the role of the data engineer is going to become more strategic.
Okay.
They'll need to be able to understand the business needs, identify the right AI tools for the job, and design and manage these complex data pipelines that incorporate AI at every stage.
So it's less about being a coding whiz and more about being a strategic thinker and a problem solver.
Exactly. Data engineers are going to need to be able to see the big picture, connect the dots between different data sources, and understand how to extract those valuable insights from the data.
Sounds like this evolution is going to require a new set of skills and a different mindset. What advice would you give to aspiring data engineers or those who want to kind of stay ahead of the curve in this rapidly evolving field?
I would say first and foremost, embrace a growth mindset. AI is constantly changing, so be prepared to be a lifelong learner. Don't be afraid to experiment with new tools and technologies, and always be curious about how AI can solve real-world problems.
It sounds like curiosity is the most important skill for the data engineer of the future.
I couldn't agree more. And remember, AI is a tool, not a replacement. Focus on developing your strategic thinking, problem-solving, and communication skills, and you'll be well-equipped to navigate this exciting world of AI-powered data engineering.
What are some specific skills or areas of knowledge that data engineers should focus on if they want to work with AI?
But having a strong foundation in machine learning is definitely important. You don't need to be a data scientist, but you should understand the basic concepts of machine learning, the different types of models, and how to train and evaluate those models.
So brushing up on those machine learning fundamentals is a good place to start.
Absolutely. And you should also be familiar with the different AI platforms and tools that are available. We've talked about a few of them today, but there are many others out there. It's important to stay up to date on the latest trends and be able to choose the right tools for the job.
That makes sense. It's a rapidly evolving field, so continuous learning is key. What about cloud computing? How important is that for data engineers who want to work with AI?
Cloud computing is becoming increasingly important for data engineering in general, and it's especially crucial for AI work. Most of the AI platforms and tools are cloud-based, and you need to be comfortable working in a cloud environment to effectively use them.
So getting familiar with cloud platforms like AWS Azure or Google Cloud is essential.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you should also have a good understanding of data security and privacy. AI systems often deal with sensitive data, so it's important to know how to protect that data and comply with all the relevant regulations.
It sounds like there's a lot to learn, but it's also an exciting time to be a data engineer.
It definitely is. AI is transforming the field of data engineering, creating all sorts of new opportunities and challenges for those who are willing to embrace it.
It's been a fascinating conversation so far. In the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore some potential future trends in AI for data engineering, and we'll discuss what you can do to prepare for this exciting future. Stay tuned, folks, because the future of data engineering is looking very interesting. So we've been talking about how AI is changing the game for data engineers, and it sounds like things are about to get even more interesting. What are some of the emerging trends that you think data engineers should be paying attention to?
Well, one area that's really starting to take off is what's called AutoML, or automated machine learning.
I've heard that term thrown around, but I'm not entirely sure what it means. Can you break it down for us?
Sure. So AutoML basically aims to automate some of the more complex and time-consuming aspects of machine learning, like model selection, hyperparameter tuning, and even feature engineering. The goal is to make it easier for people without deep machine learning expertise to build and deploy effective models.
So it's kind of like democratizing machine learning, making it accessible to a wider range of users.
Exactly. And this has huge implications for data engineers. It means that they can focus more on building and managing the data pipelines that feed these AutoML systems and less on the intricacies of model building itself.
That sounds like a major shift in the role of the data engineer.
Hmm.
What are some other trends on the horizon that you're excited about?
I think we're going to see a lot more emphasis on real-time analytics and decision-making. We're already seeing this in areas like fraud detection and personalized recommendations, but the potential applications are much broader as more and more data is generated in real time from sources like sensors, and social media data engineers will need to build systems that can ingest, process, and analyze this data on the fly.
That sounds like a huge challenge. What kind of technologies and skills will data engineers need to master to be successful in this real-time world?
While streaming data platforms like Apache Kafka and Apache Flink are becoming increasingly important, these platforms allow you to build pipelines that can process data as it arrives without having to store it first.
So it's all about speed and agility.
Exactly. And data engineers will also need to be comfortable working with tools and techniques for real-time analytics, like time series analysis and anomaly detection.
It sounds like the future of data engineering is all about building systems that can kind of keep up with this relentless pace of data generation.
That's right. And AI is going to play a central role in making this happen.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of AI for data engineering. It's clear that AI is already having a major impact on the field and that this impact is only going to grow in the years to come. Any final thoughts or advice for our listeners who are looking to kind of navigate this exciting new landscape?
I would say the most important thing is to stay curious. Don't be afraid to experiment with new tools and technologies, and always be on the lookout for ways to use AI to solve real-world problems. The field of data engineering is constantly evolving, so a willingness to learn and adapt is essential.
So embrace the change. Keep learning, and don't be afraid to experiment. Sounds like great advice to me. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been a really enlightening conversation.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this exploration of AI and data engineering. Until next time, keep diving deeper, keep questioning, and keep learning.